If I began now to list all the theatrical, film, and television credits of the two great actresses seated across from me, it would probably take the rest of the program, because for over 40 years, Maggie Smith and JUDI Dench have performed in everything from Shakespeare and Ibsen's greatest plays to James Bond, Harry Potter, and television sitcoms. And the list of awards they have garnered along the way includes Oscars, Tonys, Emmys, and practically anything else you can imagine. And both of them have been named Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire. They are considered national treasures in Britain, and we are so fortunate to have them here with us to talk about their lives, their work, and Ladies in Lavender, a new film in which they appear together. It will open in New York at the Paris Theatre next Friday on April 29th. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Haven't you known each other since you were in your 20s?
Absolutely.
Yes, it's 1958.
So does that make it easier to work together if you've known each other so long?
It's much more pleasant to work when you're good friends and you have this great, backlog behind you. But there's a shortcut process there, which means that we know each other well, and it's very reassuring. We did a play together, just a two-hander. And the only thing we didn't have to learn was when the cue was, because I knew that when Maggie stopped speaking, it was my turn, and vice versa.
Well, I've heard that you once shared a dressing room at the Old Vic. That was in London in '58. And you hid out together in the bathroom to avoid the advances of then famous actor and playwright Miles Malleson. Is that apocryphal?
It's true.
It's absolutely true. I was playing his wife, and it was a very tricky time. He was an extraordinary actor, Miles Malleson, he was called. I'm sure everybody has seen him in English films. And he had this extraordinary thing. He used to wear a wig on a wig on a wig. He used to have a great pile of them.
Sounds like a country music singer.
He wore a wig anyway, and then he wore a kind of bald wig, and then he wore a restoration wig, which he had to whip off at some point. He was an extraordinary man. He was a wonderful actor.
How aware were you of each other's work at that time, Maggie? Even though you were born just months apart, you were better known when you first worked together, weren't you?
I don't think so. In what possible way?
Well, you'd already had some major roles by that time, not true?
But so had Jude. She'd been flying around doing Juliet and all sorts of things.
Vanessa Redgrave was in your acting class.
She was, yes. We were together the same years.
And she said that she was self-conscious and gawky, but she remembers being admiring and jealous of your naturalness. She said you skipped and hopped with pleasure and excitement up the stairs, down the corridors, and onto the stage. Did you know that she said?
I hope she says it now about me still. No, I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. It's very nice to know about, but we were rather intense students together. And I just remember being frightened most of the time, as you are when you're students, 3 years of being really frightened, and envying that it seemed to do things with incredible ease, Vanessa.
Well, Jeremy Irons was here to talk about a film you made together many years ago, Langrisha Go Down, remember that? And he describes you as a giggler, especially, he said, when you were shooting the sexy scenes.
Especially with no clothes on, yes. Well, you've got to do something, haven't you?
She's the worst giggler in the world.
She is?
Absolutely.
Have you done many interviews like this side by side before?
No, we haven't actually. We've done a few here.
We've done a few in the last day.
Yes.
Day of 24 hours. But we don't get
We don't do
interviewed.
these. No, like at home. This doesn't sort of happen.
But you have appeared in a number of things together.
We have, yes.
A Room with a View is one that people will remember particularly. And also, Tea with Mussolini?
Yes, or both shot in Italy.
And in that case, you also had family members, other family members. So that must have made that pleasant, wasn't it?
It was great.
It was lovely.
And then you mentioned that you were in a play together, 2002, A Breath of Life. That was in London.
That was David Hare in the West End, yes.
Was that a success? I mean, two great actresses.
Yes, it was.
And David Hare.
It was a success. It was a pretty hard evening because it was just talk. It was just the two of us, And as Jude said, when one stopped talking, the other began.
Is that something that could have been brought over here, or was it too British?
I think it could have been brought over here, but it'll probably be done here.
And now you have this new film, Ladies in Lavender. You play sisters who clearly know each other and love each other well. Can you talk about what it was like to act in these roles? I mean, they talk about chemistry often when people, strangers are often thrown together and suddenly have to act like they've known each other forever. Kiss the first time they ever appear on camera together.
Yes.
Was it different because you've known each other for so long?
Yes, I think it was great, particularly as we were playing sisters and we're obviously very close. And yes, familiarity was a great thing to have.
Yes,
well, it doesn't breed contempt in this case.
No, thank goodness.
No.
No, it's a very good thing, knowing each other so well. So that whole, as Maggie says, that whole kind of beat of the film, one didn't have to work on that because one knew the other person so well.
It was just easy, wasn't it? It was good.
And I understand that you both agreed to appear in it partly because Charles Dance was directing.
Absolutely.
It did entirely, really, because Charles Dance, who, as you know, is a wonderful actor in his own right, and this is the first film he's directed. But if you told me that was a first-time director as we were working with him, I wouldn't actually have believed you, because he was amazingly assured, wasn't he, and knew exactly what he wanted. And
well, you've directed, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
So is the transition all that difficult?
I think it's very difficult. The actors gang up against you. They don't want notes. I directed Ken Branagh in Much Ado, and I went down to see it one evening, and he left for the stage door in his clothes because he certainly didn't want to hear any notes. And I've heard myself saying, "Oh, but you should have come. Oh, you shouldn't have come tonight. You should have come yesterday afternoon when it was absolutely wonderful." But it's hopeless for a director.
Have you directed as well?
I haven't. No,
and not tempted?
No, I've been asked about this. I don't think I have the patience. I really don't. But I think it must be great to direct. I mean, think of all that. You have all the rehearsal and things like that, and then you don't have to do it 8 times a week. I think that must be absolute heaven.
No, but then comes the night when they all get up and do it, and you can't. You shut up.
You can go to a movie.
You can't shout out. No, don't do it that way.
Well, you probably could, but it would be a bit alarming.
But it's different. You're talking about directing theater. Directing film is different again. And there are some directors who barely interact with the actors. They're too busy thinking about how the camera is going to move.
That's true.
I have Maggie Smith, JUDI Dench. What can I tell them anyway? Let them do what they do and make sure that it's all in focus.
Yeah, but that was why it was so wonderful to have Charles, who is an actor and understands the problems that actors have sometimes in scenes. It was really good.
What kinds of problems did you have here? These are roles.
Sometimes you can have a scene and you think, I'm not getting it right. And Charles, because he acts as well, has a kind of an insight, didn't he, Jude?
Yes, he did.
Knew how to help you.
And we were on a short budget, and we were on quite a short time to do it too, and so he had everything really against him. And we used to just get there, and we'd all plan the scene together, with everybody's input into it, and then he would light it, and we would shoot it.
Do you like that better, where your input is solicited?
No, I often like to be said, no, don't do it that way. Try this. I think that's
yes,
healthy.
because a lot of the time, we're in a film, as you say, you're cast, and therefore people expect you to do things. When you don't do what they're expecting, they're always rather cross, saying, "Why are you doing it like that?" And you say, "Well, there's all sorts of ways to do it. So you tell me which one you want."
Ladies in Lavender is set in Cornwall in 1936. That means that any walk along the beach gives you some of the most beautiful shots you can imagine. I don't want to give away much of the story, but it's about 2 elderly sisters living together who are very much affected by the sudden arrival of a mysterious young man who's washed up on the beach. This is also a period piece, and the both of you have appeared in a lot of period pieces. Are you ever relieved when somebody says, "Well, you could just wear the same clothes you
wear your
every
own clothes and walk in from the street"? I long for that part.
Yeah, that's good. But it's very funny. I've been